Canada's history is often told as a peaceful narrative. However, this narrative often ignores a dark and painful truth. For over a century, Canada systematically oppressed its Indigenous peoples. This oppression took many forms. It involved the forceful removal of children from their families and cultural suppression and assimilation policies. Let's explore two of the darkest chapters in this history: residential schools and the 60s scoop. From the 1830s to 1996, residential schools were government-funded, church-run institutions that tore Indigenous children from their families. The stated goal was assimilation. The schools aimed to strip Indigenous children of their cultures and languages and mold them into Europeanized citizens. Children as young as 4 years old were forcibly removed from their homes. They were sent to institutions often far away, where they endured horrific conditions. Life in these schools was harsh and unforgiving. Children were subjected to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. They were punished for speaking their languages and practicing their traditions. Malnutrition and disease were rampant. Many children did not survive the experience. Those who did often emerged with deep emotional scars. It's a story of cultural genocide, forced assimilation, and the systematic abuse of innocent children. The trauma of residential schools continues to reverberate through generations. It manifests in high rates of poverty, addiction, suicide, and family dysfunction. The closure of the last residential school was in 1996. You heard that right? In 2021, 215 unmarked graves of Indigenous children were found at the site of a former residential school. Later, the number of unmarked graves have been reported by the BBC to be up to 751. Thousands upon thousands of children still missing. The 60s scoop, which began in the 1960s and continued into the 1980s, saw thousands more Indigenous children taken from their homes. These children were placed in foster care or adopted by non-Indigenous families, often without the consent of their parents or communities. This practice, like residential schools, was rooted in the belief that Indigenous children were better off being raised in white middle-class homes. The 60s scoop resulted in the displacement and disconnection of a generation of Indigenous children. Separated from their families, communities, and cultures, many of these children grew up feeling lost and alone. They struggled with issues of identity, belonging, and the trauma of separation. The 60s scoop is a painful reminder of the systemic racism and discrimination that Indigenous peoples continue to face in Canada. The mistreatment of Indigenous peoples in Canada extends beyond residential schools and the 60s scoop. For decades, there have been documented cases of medical abuse and experimentation on Indigenous people. One of the most well-known examples is the nutritional experiments conducted on Indigenous children in residential schools in the 1940s. These experiments, conducted without consent, deprived children of essential nutrients and resulted in long-term health problems. More recently, a lawsuit filed in February 2024 by members of the Pictou Landing First Nation in Nova Scotia alleges that they were subjected to a secret medical experiment without their consent. The lawsuit claims that 2 radiologists conducted unnecessary medical tests on community members, exposing them to unnecessary radiation. This case highlights the ongoing mistrust that many Indigenous people have towards the healthcare system in Canada. It's a reminder of the need for greater cultural sensitivity and respect for Indigenous peoples within the medical community. Every year on July 1st, Canadians celebrate Canada Day, marking the anniversary of Canadian Confederation in 1867. However, for many Indigenous people, this date is not a cause for celebration. It's a reminder of the colonization of their lands and the ongoing injustices they face. The signing of the treaties that led to Confederation was done without the free, prior, and informed consent of Indigenous peoples. Many Indigenous people see Canada Day as a symbol of the ongoing oppression and marginalization they experience. They point to the high rates of poverty, health issues, and incarceration in their communities as evidence of the systemic racism that persists in Canada. Instead of celebrating Canada Day, many Indigenous people choose to mark the occasion with protests, education events, or by reflecting on their own history and culture. Subscribe if you learned something new.